All right, it's time to talk about the queen herself, Charli XCX, who has a brand new album on the way. We have heard a few tastes of it so far. We have heard rock music. We have heard Spring, Summer 26. Apparently, there may be some other B-sides floating out on the internet now as well. It looks like now on top of that, clearly these songs have been teasing toward a new album release, a new era for Charli. But we have the album announcement as well, coming out July 24th. So very soon, just around the corner. It's not going to be too long until we are hearing this album in full. I would have thought she would have taken a bit longer to follow up Brat, but just a few years after, we are going to get this new record titled Music, Fashion, Film. We have John Cale. We have Marc Jacobs, that's the fashion part, and film. Who's this old man? Who's this old film? Who's representing film here? Is this Michael Bay? Okay, it's Scorsese. I know, I'm joking. Okay, I'm joking. Just I don't want anybody getting pissed off at me on Twitter. Okay, so very on the nose. The three horsemen of the music fashion filmocalypse here. But still, like, very impressive that you would get these three guys in a room for a bunch of photos for an album cover. Charli being a big fan, a connoisseur, some would say, of art in these three mediums, especially, is, I think, making it a kind of interesting sort of statement here. But there has been a lot of interesting discourse around the release of Charli's, rock music single, the spring summer single, a lot of allegations that, this is her keeping the rent low, as it were, or turning off the fake fans, reminding people of who she is artistically and sort of like inducing a flop era, or anticipating that she's going to be disappointing people with this new music she's going to be coming out with very soon. It's a curious time for Charli creatively. I thought on some level that when she dropped the Wuthering Heights soundtrack, that maybe she was doing that on some level, or at least like giving whatever she was going to do next a bit of a buffer, so that fans could sort of hear something and not maybe have the highest anticipation in the world for it, and be able to just like kind of chill and act normal about it, and then maybe take some downtime to sort of like process and breathe and allow the Brat era to fade a little bit into the background before we move on to whatever the next thing is. But And I don't know if this is just like the way that culture is moving, the way that the internet is moving these days, but for whatever reason, despite the fact that Brat is going to be about 2 years old now, the record strangely does, at least in my mind, it comes across almost as if like it has just come out. But the record released in June of 2024. I mean, it must have to do, I think, with the fact that like it dropped in 2024, then it took almost a year for Brat to reach like full relevance and popularity. And, the Moment film just came out earlier this year, and Charli has been dropping all of these like, commentaries on her popularity and fame. So there hasn't really been truly a chance for the Brat era to fade, because it just kind of started finishing off. And ultimately what I was trying to get at was, with these allegations that Charli is trying to disappoint people who she sees as like hangarounds or fake fans or people who aren't really that invested in her. And for sure, there is definitely like a phenomenon, a new rush of listeners getting into her as a result of the Brat album cycle having done so well. With that being said, she has come out and made the statement that like, I'm not actively trying to push or turn anybody away. I'm just making the art that I want to make. I'm just doing my thing, what feels true to me as a songwriter and a singer. But with that being said, we do have this like new statement from her where, for whatever reason, she is like kind of prefacing this new album cycle with, I don't know, just, I guess, readying fans or priming the pump for the eventuality that there are going to be people disappointed with this record. Maybe they're not going to be disappointed because she actively engineered the album to be disappointing to people who wanted to hear a certain thing or wanted her to be a certain way as an artist. But she does seem to be anticipating there is going to be, at least on some level, maybe somewhat of a negative reaction to this record. Now, does that guarantee that that is going to be the case? I feel like Charli has actively made music before that she thought was going to have massive commercial success, and it didn't. And conversely, she has also made music that she thought on some level was going to be maybe less popular than some of her biggest hit songs thus far. And that actually went on to, like, you know, go super viral and garner lots of attention. So, I mean, as great of an artist as I think Charli is, I don't know if all the time she has the best assessments about like what songs from her will do the best, will take to fans. I mean, she's confirmed in interviews, like, for a moment, she was actually considering leaving Apple off the record entirely. So, I mean, I don't even know if Charli is always the best assessor about whether or not a song she's making will actually like play well with fans, or what songs of hers will do well and which ones won't. But still, with that being said, let's see what she has to say about this kind of era, this forthcoming era that might not be beloved by everybody. We also have the chat saying, was the movie disappointing? The movie was okay. I feel like there were elements of it that could have been altered to make the stakes feel a little bit higher and ultimately make the point it was trying to make about fame and losing yourself in the whirlwind of demands and attention that may be thrust upon you by an album whose hype cycle is as large as Brat's. But there were a lot of entertaining parts about it, for sure. I liked it. And I'm not just saying that as somebody who was spliced into the movie twice. But let's see what Charli has to say here and maybe get a sense of like what's going to make this new album cycle different.
So I made an album and it's really different from the last one. Yeah, that is a fact.
Hard-hitting statement there. Which, look, I note to probably you or me or anybody who's been listening to Charli longer than Brat, maybe that just seems like kind of a silly thing to say, but like, make no mistake, like, I do think there are some fans of hers now, or people who think they're fans of hers now, who like are anticipating like Brat Part 2. Really, truly are anticipating Brat Part 2. And maybe that is due in part to like Charli's own actions, because she really did like try to ride that album cycle out so hard, with the performances, with the remixes, with the movie, so on and so forth. I even saw a funny clip of her kind of out and about on the street, and some girl, I think, asking her to like make sure she plays Brat at Reading Festival, and Charli looked so fucking over it. It was actually like devastating. I hope that girl never sees that clip on the internet. Like, I would die if somebody like had the soul sucked from their face as a reaction of like, can you please play Brat at Reading Festival? So, I mean, maybe this is something Charli needs to say to some degree, because I do think there are some people who are new and are not acclimated and are really just expecting exactly more of the same. When Charli has always been an ever-evolving artist, even if she has like mostly stuck to pop music over the course of her career.
And I love it. And you might not. And that's cool. So, yeah. But if you do, then that's cute. But if you don't, like, that's totally okay. Because that's just what it is to have personal preferences.
There's even a chance that I won't like this record. As a single, just musically, I thought rock music was just okay. And whether it's rock or whether it's a bunch of other genres, who the hell knows, for this forthcoming album, there's a chance that even I won't like it. There have been Charli albums in the past that I have not been a fan of. And then there have been Charli albums that I've been, for the most part, blown away by. I personally don't feel like, for as long as Charli has been at it, that there is a single album at this point. There would have to be like 4 shitty albums in a row I don't think there's like a single album at this point that could leave me in a state where I'm just like, no, it's over. It's done. I never want to anticipate another Charli album again. I don't think there's an album coming that would make me feel that way at all. Is there an album coming that I might feel is just okay, and I'll just look forward to whatever the next one is? Yeah, sure, possibly. But unfortunately, with the way that music discourse works online now, I feel like most music discussions don't really extend beyond the current album cycle that we're in, and there's no consideration for anything that happened to bring us up until this point. And whether it is something that people like and they're listening to and they're acting like it's the greatest thing they've ever heard, or if it's something that they don't like, and as a result of that one album, you know, Charli gave you numerous previous records that were great, maybe some that you didn't even take the time to go back and listen to. People are absolutely going to melt down and lose their shit and act like it's over and it's done, and Charli's the worst ever, and the new album's total garbage, and da-da-da-da-da. When, like, in reality, I feel like the option is there to just be normal and be like, you know what? This album wasn't really for me. I feel like for the most part, I very much had that attitude with the JPEG Mafia record. I thought that the new record wasn't very much for me. He's given me so many great albums in the past. There are some quality tracks on the record here and there. I feel like there's still a lot to him and a lot to his artistry that leaves me in a place to where I'm looking forward to what he might do next, considering that he has the ability to sort of like assess this record and see what he could have done better, or at least maybe try something new into the future. I feel like there's really a lack of those kind of like normal reactions to albums these days. When you feel like the least bit disappointed, it's like people either have to be just going completely off the fucking rails and losing their shit and going absolutely mad and throwing a tantrum and just going overboard, or they need to be acting like what they're hearing is the greatest thing in the world, the greatest thing they've ever heard. Anybody who disagrees with them even slightly is a fucking monster and a fucking loser, and they're deaf and they don't know anything, and you have to come up with some kind of like ulterior motive as to why they disagree with you. It can't be that they're merely just underwhelmed by the music. It has to be because there's like some kind of like secret, covert belief or warped mindset there driving what they're doing and driving their behavior. Maybe it's even a personal thing. They're disliking the music as an affront to you. One thing is for sure, regardless of what is going to happen with this record, nobody's going to be fucking normal about it. Nobody's going to be fucking normal about it. So do you think it even matters if people like it? Don't these artists just survive off of having enough market share, off of being known by people regardless? I do think people have to like it to a degree. I think like in order to continue being successful as an artist, your music has to scale on at least some level. There are, I will say, like instances that definitely apply to the dynamic that you're painting here, like Drake, where he's almost like too big to fail, because yes, he does have a fandom that loves his music and cares about his music, but also on top of that, as we saw with like the first 2 weeks of numbers for the record, there are tens of millions of people who will show up to hear the album just out of curiosity, not because they like Drake, not because they're fans, not because they think the music he makes is especially good, but because they're aware of the fact that everybody else is listening to it. So they will try it just to know what the discourse is and just kind of have like a collective experience with everybody else. And I think Charli, has that pull as well to some degree, at least like in the pop world. I think there are lots of pop stans that will pull up to listen to the new Charli album just to see what's up because they want to know what's going on with the other pop girlies and that sort of thing. But I don't think Charli has the sort of like negative hype against her, at least broadly within pop music. Like the institution and culture of pop music as a whole is not like against what Charli does or sort of like against the vibe of her music or, the way that she sort of presents herself in the world. There are certain fandoms within pop that hate her. I mean, I think once this album drops, the Taylor fans are going to get active. The Taylor fans are going to get fucking active in the replies on frame one when this album comes out. And you know they're going to get double, triple active the moment this record doesn't do the same numbers of, Life of a Showgirl, which, I mean, anticipate that. I do see some parallels here between this and like the JPEG Mafia album cycle and just the music industry broadly. I understand that the internet is very much to blame for this because the internet makes it difficult to ignore your fame or ignore the reception around anything that you do at any given time if you are sort of in the public eye, speaking from experience here, even at the small scale that I am. But I do think we are getting to a point where we are collectively like just a little bit too obsessed with how people are receiving us and what the state of our fame is and fame just in general. I think as a topic to explore, it is getting like a little annoying. It is getting a little like beating a dead horse. I feel like there's a lot of people commenting on it, but not a whole lot of people like approaching it in a new and refreshing way. I mean, I will give Charli her flowers and sort of say it is like definitely an ambitious moment for her to have tried to do that through the mode of film with the moment. And, for a movie made by a pop artist that is trying to approach that topic, it wasn't too bad. The moment could have handily been as bad as the fucking Weekend movie, and it wasn't. It was actually leagues better and leagues more enjoyable and approachable and funnier than the Weekend movie. The Weekend movie was just sad and unwatchable, honestly. Like one of the most unwatchable things I've ever had to subject myself to. Just truly terrible shit. Despite the album, his latest record being so good.